Hi, I am Mandy of Mad Cow Mandy Designs, and today I am showing you how I use Hiya Hiya flyers. You can also buy these by Addy, and they are called Flexi Flips. They are a very similar concept. I like to use a US 1.5, 2.5 millimeter. That is my personal preference. The size of needle is really up to you. So let's take a look. As you can see, there is a metal needle on each end. They do come in bamboo, and then you have a flexible cable here in the center. I like to describe these as double pointed needles and magic loop decided to have a baby, and now you have flyers. So let's just talk real fast. Double pointed needles, you will use either 3 or 4 to have your stitches divided and work in the round, with your last needle being your working needle. Magic loop, on the other hand, not a method that I care for a whole lot, so this is not the correct needle. You would want a much longer cable to do magic loop on, but this is what I have to show you. It gets folded in half with both needles on the same side. Your work would go in the middle with half stitches on one side, half the stitches on the back side. When you go to work with it, you will actually have your work down here where my fingers are, and you end up with these Mickey Mouse ears sticking out on both sides. And you have, again, half your stitches on this side and half on that side. That's where the magic loop portion comes in for the flyers, because the way that you'll set these up, you will have half your stitches on one side and half your stitches on the other side, but then you have a third needle that is your working needle, just like the double points. So if you're ready, let's cast on. Today I have a mini skein from Pretty Twisted Yarns that I will be using, and I'll also be using the Perfectly Stretchy cast on. So we will start with a slip knot on one of our needles, and then use the second needle to start casting on. If you would like a slowed down tutorial of how to make this cast on, I'll link that video down below. Otherwise, I need 56 stitches for my sock, and I'll meet you back here when I have all 56 on this needle. Okay, I have all 56 stitches plus my slip knot on this one needle. And I like my socks to be a 2x2 ribbing. So I'm going to go ahead and start my 2x2 ribbing for half of the stitches. That's going to be 28. Okay, I have worked half of the stitches in 2x2, the other half I have not worked yet. I will now use my third needle. So I like to go ahead and push the work kind of far down on this one so that I know nothing falls off the end of it. And this is where it gets a little awkward for just a moment. We're going to use this third needle to work the other half of our stitches. Okay, I worked the second 28 of my stitches, and this is my slip knot. I'm gonna just go ahead and let it go. I'm gonna set down my third needle for just a moment while I straighten out these. Because every knitter's worst nightmare is having joined in the round just to realize that you had a twist in your work. Okay, looks like everybody is where they're supposed to be. This is where we're going to join the new round and things are going to get more fun. So, this is actually my back needle. This one is my front needle. I'm going to stick my hand between those two. And then I'm going to hold both of these and start working with my third needle. These stitches on the back don't need to be too close to the end or else they'll end up falling off, but these you do need to go ahead and push on down to the tip. And we will continue working our 2x2 ribbing. Now that I've worked a couple of stitches and I have a really good solid first join there, I'm going to go ahead and pull this needle out. Not out, just up a little. So you can kind of see my back needle makes this upward bend while my top needle is going down. I want to emphasize the back needle's up bend by keeping it here in between my thumb and finger. And I'm just going to keep it there while I make my way across the row. Okay, we have half of our second round done. Everybody knows that first round is just awkward no matter what method you are using. So I went ahead and pushed my stitches down and turned my work. Your tail is always going to indicate your beginning of round. So that's how I know I've only made it halfway and I need to work the other half to finish a second round. Again, you can kind of see how the needles relax themselves into this oval pattern. The needle in the back, I want sticking out the front of my thumb, and the needle I'm actually working on pointed down away from me. This is my back needle that is pointed up at the camera right now, and my working needle just hangs out down below. I find that by pointing the back needle that I'm not using just straight up into a severe U shape really keeps those needles out of the way. I've talked to a few people now, and their instinct is to try and point that downward, and it just doesn't want to go that way. It feels really awkward. It might stab you in the palms. If you just lean into it and you go ahead and put a really big U on this back needle, hold it between your thumb and finger, it will pretty much stay out of your way. I just tried to drop a stitch. I will say that trying to knit with a camera in between you and your work is a little on the awkward side. I did accidentally have a yarn over from when I turned my work the last time. I didn't turn it properly, and it created a little yarn over. Not a big deal. Just be careful when you turn, like with any knitting. Now is a good time to just double check everybody is on here straight still. I didn't get anything twisted. Again, that back needle is going to go up into a U. And this gap that was accidentally created by my yarn over will just get cinched right up. Nobody has to know. It'll be fine. Of course, now everybody knows that I messed up because it's going to be on a tutorial on YouTube. Well, this should be enough to kind of get you started. I will keep working on it and come back and show you a little bit more of me knitting once I have some length on this sock. Okay, I now have some fabric on the needles. I have finished all of my ribbing. I do 1 inch of ribbing for the cuff. I have about 2 rounds of my main color, and I have placed a stitch marker on the front side of my sock. It says Wizard in Training from Pretty Stitch Designs on Etsy. Since this is the front, it will also become the top of my foot, and my heel will go on these stitches back here. It just makes it easier to spot instead of having to look for my strings. Okay, let me show you one more time how I like to hold the needle. You can kind of see this is its relaxed state. I like to take that back needle that I'm not using and give it a good bend, and my thumb will go in between there. Push this needle on back, and this one just kind of tries to poke you in the face, but maybe don't look so close. And do apologize because I know y'all can hear the needles brushing against the desk down here. Not a whole lot I can do about that. So, as I knit along, you will notice that this needle is very well into the groove between my thumb and finger, while this one is not. The weight will shift, and this one will fall down closer to my thumb, and this one will come up closer to my finger. Now that I'm partway across, you can kind of see that this one in my right hand is getting kind of low and it starts to stab. I just take it and give it a little tug. It'll pull it right back up to where you need it, and trust me, no stitches are going to fall off this side. You're not going to pull it that hard. just like that. I will show you on this side one other option that I do sometimes. Because I only have 28 stitches on here, it's really not that big of a deal. But if I knit my husband's socks, he has a lot more stitches. And my short little fingers just can't quite reach all the way across. So when I get to the point here where it's starting to get difficult to reach, I will actually give that the tug and then put it down. And as long as you give it a little tug before you put it down, it will actually go under your hand and not stab you in the palm. Either way works for me, and it gives y'all a nice option of how to knit. So that is how these Hiya Hiya flyers work, and if you have questions, I am always here to help and more than happy to help y'all out. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you for the next tutorial. Bye!